Okay, who would like to do this invocation?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Saru.
Om Ajnana Timirandash.
Agyana.
Om Agyana Timiradasya Jana Nanjana Salakaya Chaksur
Unmilitam.
Unmilitam Yana Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Mantra prayer to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namami. Namaste Saraswati Deva Gauravani Pracharin Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pashtatya Deshatarin. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Respectful obeisances are unto you, O spiritual master, servant of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami. You are kindly preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya Deva and delivering the Western countries which are filled with impersonalism and periodism. Thank you, Prabhu.
1 minute, you haven't finished. There's some more.
Pancha Tattva Mantra. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadara, Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. I offer my obeisances to Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadara, Sri Vasa, and all others in the line of devotion. Maha Mantra. Maha means great, and mantra means sacred chant for deliverance. Of all mantras in the Vedas, one is called Maha Mantra, O great mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The words Hare pronounced Hare, Krishna Krishna, and Rama rhymes with drama are Sanskrit words. Hare is an address to God's energy known as Radha, and Krishna is God, meaning he who is attractive to everyone. Rama means one who gives pleasures and enjoys life. When chanted, the Maha Mantra is a petition to God. O Krishna, O energy of Krishna, please engage me in your service.
Okay.
Hare.
Thank you. Okay. Just give me a moment. I set up this slides. Okay, welcome to Gita Gyan. chapter 14. We take obeisances from the deities Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. These are the ISKCON Hungary deities in Hungary in Europe. We also take obeisances of Shri Radha Sham Sundar. This is New Vrindavan Dham. It's I think in USA or Europe. Anyway, okay, this one we have done already. We also take obeisances and blessings from Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So here we chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Understanding Gita. Who would like to read this?
I'll read.
Okay.
In this world, men are not meant for quarreling like cats and dogs. Men must be intelligent to realize the importance of human life and refuse to act like ordinary animals. A human being should realize the aim of his life, and this direction is given in all Vedic literatures, and the essence is given in Bhagavad Gita. Vedic literature is meant for human beings, not for animals. Animals can kill other living animals, and there is no question of sin on their part. But if a man kills an animal for the satisfaction of his uncontrolled taste, he must be responsible for breaking the laws of nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly explained that there are three kinds of activities according to the different modes of nature: the activities of goodness, of passion, and of ignorance. Similarly, there are three kinds of eatables also: eatables in goodness, passion, and ignorance. All of this is clearly described, and if we properly utilize the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, then our whole life will become purified, and ultimately we'll be able to reach the destination which is beyond this material sky.
Thank you. So here, this is from the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, which is in your Bhagavad Gita book. Part of it has been said. So we are not meant for quarreling like cats and dogs. We are meant to become intelligent and to understand the importance of human life. So if someone kills in the name of religion, they are cats and dogs. They are not spiritual people. And you should refuse to act like ordinary animals. So they are called the people who are only interested in like who are acting like animals. That means they don't care about anything but themselves, and they don't care about other people. Yeah, like animals. So they call them the two-legged animals in the Vedic scriptures, because it's like they are acting same like animals. A human being should realize his aim of life. All of you know this, and it's given the Vedic literature. So this Vedic Dharma or Sanatan Dharma is meant for human beings to actually elevate themselves out of this material world into the spiritual world. Otherwise, you have materialistic religions for people who are interested in bettering their life and nothing else. They are not interested in stopping the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. No matter what their religion says, if their religion is all in the materialistic form of mind, or if the person who is taking to religion looking for materialistic betterment only, then we can understand that this person is just meant to eat, drink, and be merry. Who knows what's after that? So they don't think beyond. They don't want to think beyond. They just see what is in front of their eyes and they just try and enjoy the maximum they can. So we as human beings, we should have compassion for all living entities. Then that is why we should not eat what you say. We should not take actually non-veg food or non-prasad we call it. And so this is later on we will become actually non-violent, compassionate, and in this way we can all go back to the spiritual world, because the four principles are uh, illicit sex, gambling, meat eating, and intoxication. We should keep away from these four if you want to actually become a spiritual person and become a devotee of the Lord. So in this way, we all become intelligent and do what we can. We see that's a goal, and maybe we can't reach the goal now, but we set a target. Okay, this time, in maybe in this many 2 years or 3 years, I want to achieve this target, this target. So the target must be there. Otherwise, if you don't have a target, you will never reach the goal. If you want to get something, you have a target. Same thing, you want to go back spiritual world, you know the way. Krishna is giving you the directions in the Bhagavad Gita. Have the target. Okay, so then our life become purified. So here there are three modes of nature. This chapter is on three modes of nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. There's another chapter which has the three modes of nature. Can you all remember which other chapter? It hasn't come yet. This is a clue. I mean, in the first level you all did. But can you remember? This is 14. Another chapter has levels of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Can you remember?
Cannot remember, sir.
Okay, who can remember? Who try and give the chapter number? Chapter number 17. Okay, listen. Today, Krishna is speaking about the three types of people. The different modes of nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And then in chapter 17, the different types of action. Example, the three types of modes: goodness, passion, the three types of faith, the three types of austerities, three types of food, three types of sacrifice. That's all in chapter 17. You remember, right? Can recall? No. Anyway, just to let you know, so this chapter is the three types of people and the three types of things that the people do in this is in chapter 17. Okay, shall we proceed? This is Krishna, and this is the modes of three modes of the Maya Devi, the modes of material nature. So before we go to 1322, we always start with, because we are in level 2, so who would like to read 13, 1, 2, 3? Volunteer from Bhagavad Gita.
Prabhu, I will read, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Text 1, English version, Prabhu.
English.
Text 1, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Again, I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which of knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection. By text 2, by becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. Text 3, the total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the births of all living beings, O son of Bharata. Thank you.
Thank you. So Krishna says, I shall declare you supreme wisdom. All Krishna is always declaring supreme wisdom. But today again he is re-emphasizing, I am giving you supreme wisdom. In Bhagavad Gita, every chapter is a supreme wisdom. So Krishna repeats that I am giving you the supreme wisdom, is the best of knowledge, is the most important knowledge. And knowing this, even the sages, they want to know this and they go back to the supreme perfection. So all of you can become like the sages. There is no bar. Krishna says, everyone can come to me, no matter what it is, so long as you follow the directions in Bhagavad Gita, you become my devotee and you think of me. That's all. It doesn't matter you are great sage or you are whatever it is. It is all Krishna treats us as equals in spiritual world, in the spiritual life. So by becoming fixed in knowledge, you must be very fixed in your knowledge. Remember the Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna is saying. Sometimes when you are reading, you can take a notebook and you write the points as you are reading. Some points you write. Because when you write and you read, you know what happened? You double emphasize in your brain. Two things you are doing. You are reading and you're writing. So then you can remember better. And then one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Krishna is transcendental. How is he transcendental? He is beyond the modes of material nature. He is pure spirit. He is no material. So we also can attain the pure spirit and thus establish, is not born at the time of creation and disturbed at the time of dissolution. That means, you see, when we are still around at the time of dissolution of the world, we have to merge back into the Lord Vishnu there. And then again, when the world get created, we again have to come back. So Krishna is saying very nicely, you know how nicely he's saying number 2. How nicely he's saying, he's putting so in short and very, he say, not at the time of creation. At the time of creation, we won't be here. We won't be coming back. At the time of dissolution, we won't be there also. We'll all be back in the spiritual world before then. And then the total material substance is called Brahman. Now Krishna is speaking about the material world, the creation and the destruction and the maintenance. As you say, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, the Trinity, who are the creator, maintainer and the destroyer. So he says they are Brahman. This Brahman means part of Krishna and is a source of birth. And that Brahman I impregnate. How he impregnate? When our whatever, when we get reborn, our souls take the bodies of that material Brahman, making possible the birth of all living beings, O son of Bharata. So nice and technically and so simple. If we just read nicely and we read, actually sometimes when you read like in a class, it is actually you tend to concentrate more and you tend to understand more also, you know. Sometimes, you know, we can have, like, you can have a group of you reading together, among your friends or whoever, and then you read the Bhagavad Gita together and you discuss among yourself. It's quite interesting. Okay, who would like to read 4, 5, and 6.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Text 4. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father. Text 5. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes. Text 6. O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
See? So it is understood all species of life are made possible. I am the one who is putting all the earth together, the material nature together. Maya Devi I'm putting in charge to make the whole thing run. And after the whole thing is there, the ingredients, like you're cooking something for the Lord, all the ingredients are there. And then Krishna comes and then he puts the seed into the thing. So then the cook comes and he cooks or she cooks. So in this way, all the ingredients Krishna already had prepared. After that, all the living entities are gone into and the material world starts. Creatures move, living beings are there. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, when our souls after death we come back, then we get the type of body that will last, the subtle body, whether we are in ignorance, we are in passion, or we are in goodness, we get that type of subtle, the subtle body we bring with us, and we get this gross body. Okay? Then you become conditioned by this nature. Then you carry on from there. So how you're going to improve from example in the mode of ignorance to the mode of goodness. And Krishna is saying the best is the mode of goodness, because in the mode of goodness you are giving, you are doing good, you are doing helping. So this at least gives you happiness. The more you take, the less happy you are. The more you give, the more happy you are. You try and see. If you are a giving person, you like to give, you become happier. You know, myself, I always like to give extra food. I will look for someone to give to. Sometimes also I'm living near the temple, got extra food, I will take and call people, you want, and then I will give away. And then myself, I'm never short of food here, because when you give, you're just not expecting anything back. But when you give, you're giving only, and you're helping people. Otherwise, sometimes there's extra food in the temple or extra food in your house gets wasted. Better you give away. So when you give away, somehow or another, you get the benefit. The food comes to you, and you will never get hungry. There's always food in the kitchen, in the fridge. So in that way, you're always giving. Even like Jesus said, to give is better than to receive. Jesus learned the philosophy from when he went to India. When he has disappeared from the Middle East, he went to India, he learned the philosophy, and he tried to teach the people in the Middle East, in Israel side, about this philosophy. So, anyway, Krishna is very clearly saying here, in the mode of goodness is better than the others. Why is it better? Because when you are in the mode of goodness, you are already in the giving mood. When you are in the giving mood, then you can become a spiritual. But that is not the ultimate. The mode of goodness is not the ultimate. Please remember this. Okay. Who would like to read 7, 8, 9?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prema.
The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings, O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions. 14.8. O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The result of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. 13.9. O son of Bharata, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion condition one to fruitive action, and ignorance, covering one's knowledge, bind one to madness. Hare Krishna.
So here Krishna is explaining firstly goodness. Now he's talking passion. It makes you desire. Desire gives you you become desiring. You will have lust. Then you don't get what you desire. The lust, the one that you want, you get anger, and you get greed. So you know the three gateways to hell. Lust, anger, and greed are the three gateways to hell. So you are in a mode of passion, you will get these things. So that is why we do not want to be. We will never have a peace when we have this mode of passion. Okay, then the mode of darkness is a person who is born in ignorance. He is lazy. He doesn't like to do anything. He only wants to take. He doesn't want to give. And because of that, he will always be unhappy. Even he thinks he's clever. He thinks he's happy. But in the end, actually, he will become the most unhappy. Because you are taking people's karma only. When you're receiving, you are taking the karma from the people. How are you going to get happiness? Cannot. When you are giving, you are taking the good karma. When you are in a mode of ignorance, you are taking the bad karma. You want to take bad karma? Then you become in the mode of ignorance. So that is the problem. Then what happens is your life goes down, and then in the mode of ignorance there's a danger you will become animal in your next life. So this is very, very dangerous. You think animal life is good? Wait until you become animal. Wait until I show you some things about the animals. They are also very sad. The material world is very difficult. So, and then Krishna says that mode of goodness makes you happy. Mode of passion makes you bound. And ignorance makes you mad. Make you like a mad fellow. In the end, you will be unhappy and you will just either give up on life, don't take charge of your life. How are you going to be happy like this? Cannot. You will have no friends. You will be staying in the streets. You will have or staying in the jail. What's the point? Okay, now 10, 11, 12. Who would like to read?
Hare Krishna, I will read.
Okay,
Text 10. O son of Bharata, the mood of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion condition one to
10,
fruity.
10.
Sorry?
9 we did already. 10.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Okay.
Text 10. Sometimes the mood of goodness become prominent, defeating the mood of passion and ignorance. O son of Bharata, sometimes the mood of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy. Text 12. The manifestation of the mood of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. Text 11, 12, until 12, is it, sir?
Yeah, read the chart, please.
12 one, text 12. O chief of Bharatas, where there is an increase in the mood of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire of and hankering develops. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So here Krishna is speaking. We all have these three modes. Which mode is more strong? Then you are in that mode of goodness, but sometimes you also have passion and sometimes you have ignorance also. So in this way, all of us have, but which one we have more? How many percent of goodness? How many percent of passion? How many percent of ignorance? And the person in the mode of ignorance doesn't mean he's 100% ignorant. He will have mostly ignorance and some passion and some ignorance, goodness. There is no such thing as totally black and totally white. I think you understand that. Huh? So Krishna is explaining again to us how it is. That is a fighting. That's why the Muslims and the Christians say Satan is trying to make me do bad things, because the mode of ignorance is trying to overpower them. There's no Satan. It's just a mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance. You don't blame Satan, blame yourself. Don't be a coward. Okay, then the manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of body are illuminated with knowledge. When you have a knowledge, you understand to give is better than to receive, to be kind to people, to helpful to people. You know you have been given so much by the Lord. You try and help those who are needy, who are in need of your help. And if you can help, okay, that's good. If you can't help how much you can. There's no such thing as can't help. Help as much as you are able to. Don't make yourself a poor fellow and give everything away. In the end, you got nothing. This is not what it means. It means that whatever you get, you give you help whatever you can. You cannot help in money. You help in effort. Or you can make a person happy, keep them company, example. Or you can teach them about Bhagavad Gita, or you can ask them to buy Bhagavad Gita and enroll for the class. This is all in the mode of goodness, okay? And then 12 is when there's an increase in the mode of passion, the symptom of great attachment, your lot of desires, non-ending. You get car, you want house. You got house, you want bigger house. You want bigger house. You want name and fame. That is also another desire. You want people to love you, and you have so much desires. And then in 13, I know you haven't read, but anyway I read. Where there's an increase in the mode of ignorance, O son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion are manifested. There is always in your heart, it's definitely the soul is dying. The soul is dying when you're in a mode of ignorance. The bird in the cage, you're cleaning the cage, but the bird is dying because no food is given to the bird. So I don't want you to keep birds in the cage, but it's just an example. I don't believe in caging birds. Okay, then 14, 15, and 16. Someone can read.
When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planets of the great sages. 15. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities. And when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. 16. The result of pious action is pure and is said to be in the mode of goodness. But action done in the mode of passion results in misery, and action performed in the mode of ignorance results in foolishness.
Thank you. So here again, so nice. Krishna is speaking. When you die in the mode of goodness, when you are a very good person and you die, you will go to the place of the heavenly kingdoms, the Surga Loka. They are the Devasa. You will reach that. And then when you die in the mode of passion, you come back to this earth. And then when you die in a mode of ignorance, you go to animal. That's why don't be always taking. You will become animal. All the bad karma you taking, you go back to the animal kingdom. And then Krishna says the result of pious action is pure. If you do pious action, you get good result in a mode of goodness. But in the passion, you become miserable because you're always unsatisfied. You got you got rice and dal and 2 vegetables, you are happy. But if you are in a mode of passion, you say, what is this? Only rice, dal and 2 vegetables? I want pakora, I want 4 vegetables. I want to go to the restaurant for 20 vegetables, 50 vegetables. I want to take more. But how much can you eat? Cannot, right? So in this way, that is a mode of passion. I got a house, I want a bigger house. Oh, I got one house, I want one more house. Why? Because I want to rent out and get money. I want to be rich. Okay, can. If you don't, you see, you do this, okay. That is no, I'm not saying you cannot buy another house to rent out. But don't work so hard to buy a second house that what happened is you got no time to do your spiritual life. Then what's the point of the second house? Second thing is, when you become too greedy and you misestimate, supposing you work very hard, you bought one house but you not finished paying, then you buy second house and you have to pay 2 loans. And then what happened? The bad times come and you got no tenant for the second house, and you got your job don't have enough income. You can't even pay for 2 houses and you have to sell off one house at a loss. So in this way, don't be slow and steady. You buy your one house or whatever, you finish paying, then you feel that you can afford to buy another house. Okay, buy, but so long as you don't have to work so hard, that you cannot be happy. What's the point? You work so hard. In the olden days, the parents work so hard and make money, many money, give the children and they die. Nothing they enjoy. And the children use the money and enjoy and finish it all. What's the point? Okay? So that is why what is the important thing is your spiritual life must be done properly. Okay. So in the mode of ignorance, you become foolish because you will go back to the animal kingdom. Okay. 17, 18, 19. Who would like to read?
Prabhu, I volunteer.
Yeah.
Text 17. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. From the mode of ignorance, develop foolishness, madness, and illusion. Text 18. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward in the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets, and those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. Text 19. When one properly sees that in all activities no other performer is at work than these modes of nature, and he knows the Supreme Lord who is transcendental to all these modes, he attains my spiritual nature. Thank you.
So what I just now explained, Krishna is explaining also. In the mode of goodness, your knowledge, you become intelligent to learn the Bhagavad Gita. And then after that, what happens later we read, But Krishna is now bringing us to the point to be good, the mode of goodness, to have knowledge. What knowledge actually is talking? Later you see, he says knowledge of how to transcend the cycle of birth and death. If you are in a mode of goodness, you will want to read Bhagavad Gita. If you are in a mode of passion, you not really want to read. You just want to enjoy, you just get greed. That's why Krishna said greed develop. Ignorance, you become like foolish people. You stupid people. So then, gradually, if you're mode of goodness, you go Devaloka. Passion, you come earth. And then ignorance, you come earth, but you become animals. Or you go to the hellish planets. Okay? And then, when one properly sees all action, no other performer is work than the three modes of nature, he knows the Supreme Lord, who is transcendental, he attains my spiritual. When you understand that actually you are spirit soul, you are pure. You don't have to get entangled in these modes of material nature. So what are you supposed to do? We'll read on, we'll find out. And if you understand that, and you understand me, Krishna says, that is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to understand the Lord and our relationship of the soul to the Lord. Then you get to my spiritual nature. Okay, 20, 21, and on the board 22. Who hasn't read yet?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
When the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes associated with the material body, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and their distresses, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. Text 21. Arjuna inquired, "O my Lord, by which symptoms is one known who is transcendental to these three modes? What is his behavior, and how does he transcend the modes of nature?" 22. Purusha prakti sitohi unkate praktri jan gunan karanat guna sangosya sat asat yoni janmasu. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil among various species. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Saru, wait, Can you see the Bhagavad Gita and read the balance? Up to 25.
Okay. Up to 20?
5. In the Bhagavad Gita is up to 25.
So I read the 25 now, huh?
Okay. Yeah, why they put 13, huh?
Yeah, here they put 13.
Right, 13. I saw 13.
Yeah.
14, chapter 14.
I think they wrongly put.
The verse also wrong, Prabhu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Saru,
The verse is not the one from the Bhagavad Gita. It's not 14. It's not 14:22.
I read 20.
22
I
to
read
5.
22 to 25. Okay. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active, which is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal toward the desirable and undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature."
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a very interesting verse.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
1 minute, huh? Oh, we have done all this. I thought they jumped to that, Okay, anyway, we have done all this. We are already okay. These are modes of nature, huh? Okay, first we go back. Here, just now, Krishna is saying, when you can transcend these three modes of nature, you can become free from birth, death, old age, and disease, and can actually enjoy nectar even in this life. When you take the devotional service, you are already coming to the transcendental nature, and then you will enjoy devotional service in the association of devotees, and you will become very happy even in this material world. So in this way, Krishna is saying your devotional, your happiness can already start in this material world if you are in a certain level of goodness and you transcend this nature. Because even the mode of goodness, you are attached. When you are doing good to people, you become happy in the heart, but that happiness is materially motivated. You get the happiness and you are attached to the happiness, then you will do more good. You understand? So Krishna is now going to speak to us about to transcend this so that you understand that these modes of nature are still material, even the goodness. We don't want to go Deva planet. No, no. We want to go, because Deva planet, we come back again to this material world. This Deva planet is also in a material world. It's only a very luxurious place, that's all. It's still the material world. The king can live in the palace, but he still has to grow old. He still has to get disease. He still need to die. And he still need to get birth again. This time, maybe next time he's not a king also already. How you know? So what is the use? So that is why Krishna is saying, understand that we want to go above these modes of material nature. So Arjuna is now saying, oh really, Krishna? This is interesting. I also want to go above. Can you tell me how to recognize a person who is in that level? Because you see, you want to become like a person, like like when you have children, when you have children, and then you are a good parent, and the children look up to the father and mother, and the father and mother got good qualities. Normally, the child will look up to the children. I mean, look up to the parents and try and be like them. You understand, huh? That's why parents should have a good example. You cannot be saying, "Oh, the father is smoking cigarette." He says, "Son, cigarette smoking is bad, okay? So don't smoke cigarette." And son say, "You are smoking what?" "I smoking, I don't know, I'm not doing correct, but you don't do wrong." So in this way, sometimes you have this type of nature, this type of story also. So anyway, this from my experience I got lah. So anyway, it is it's at least telling lah, I'm doing wrong, but you don't do wrong. But you should set an example. So in this way, Arjuna is asking, how do I recognize people who are like this? Like we want to become spiritual, we should ask Krishna, Krishna, how we recognize spiritual people? So Arjuna is asking, how do we recognize spiritual people who do not get affected by these three modes? And then Krishna is explaining in 22 to 25. He's saying, You do not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion. You do not hate when you are in a mode of goodness. That means you become knowledgeable, and attachment when you are in passion, and delusion when you are ignorance, when they are present. You know, you do not hate anything, or you do not want anything. You do not even want the happiness you get in giving. You just giving because you feel you want to give, but you are not expecting to get the happiness for it. You are giving because you are compassionate to the people. So you are giving because you are thinking of them and you want to help them. You feel the sorry for them and you feel that you can help them. You are not helping them to feel happy. You understand, huh? There's a little bit technical. You are helping them so that you can become happy. Oh, I've done good, I'm so happy. Wrong. You are doing because, oh, these people are really need, I want to help them. Krishna has been so kind to me, at least I try and help them. That is correct. That is in the mode of transcendence. Okay, then that's why when you don't get you don't feel the happiness. No, you see, sometimes you help people, you expect them to say, oh, thank you, sir, thank you, and you feel very happy. Oh, they are so happy. No, whether they say thank you or not, it's not for you to understand. Just give without thinking whether they are happy. You just help them. Whether they thank you or not, it is not your problem, not what you're really looking for. You want to help them so that you get thank you. That is in a mode of goodness. You have to help them because you feel the pain of them and you want to alleviate their pain. That is transcendental. Okay, yeah? And unwavering and undisturbed by reactions of material qualities, you remain neutral and transcendental. You help when you can. You understand when you can't, what can you do? You say, Krishna, I feel so sorry for them. At least you can pray for them. That is also good. Knowing that the modes are active and who is situated in self, understanding that we are all souls. That's why Krishna tells Arjuna, you have to do your duty, you have to fight, you have to kill. You don't get affected by this goodness, passion, or ignorance. You just understand we are the soul, and then everything is by the will and arrangement of the Lord. Wherever we can help, we help. Krishna has given you the strength to help, you go and help. Krishna, you don't have the strength, what can you do? And then who looks upon the lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold with equal eye. I want to ask you, if you see earth, and you see a stone, and you see gold, would you say all three are equal? Which one you will go and take? You will take
The goal, Prabhu.
gold, definitely. You know? We will say, I want the gold. Why I will leave the other things behind? So then, that is another story we have. We are going to tell you the story today about Sanatan Goswami and the Chintamani stone. Wait, let us finish this, then we tell the story. Okay? That means actually we understand that gold is also material, stone is also material, earth is also material. We want to go for a little higher than that. And what is that? We want to get love of Krishna. That's why we have, when someone says, okay, there was one man, he wanted to do, he was a devotee. And then he did a business. It's a true story, yeah. He did business and always failure. But his father is a chettiar, rich man, no? So then the father didn't like him to be a devotee. So then he had no choice. He went to a father. Father, can you help me? Father said, I will help you on one condition. You don't become a devotee of Krishna, then I help you. then he stopped being a devotee of Krishna. So that is, I don't know what you think, but I think it is not correct. Most to most, you go out and work lah. What's wrong with you? And then he's in Singapore. Singapore, you easy to get job. There's no problem of getting job in Singapore. So what is the point? You have to give up your Krishna consciousness for money. So in this way, it's foolishness. That's why even you get the goal, but you have to give up Krishna consciousness. That's foolish. Forget the goal. That is the meaning of equal life. So sometimes you will say, oh, what is nonsense? I don't believe all this. You must understand what Krishna really wants, is explaining. Who is equal to desirable and undesirable. Gold is desirable, right? And then the earth is not desirable. But of course, earth you need also. If you are a brick maker, you need the earth to make bricks. And then if you are a house builder, you need all these things. You use the gold, you can't use gold. You need bricks, you need cement, you need water to make the house, you need steel. The gold is no use, but the gold can buy all these things. And then equally in praise and blame. You see, someone praise you or blame you, you don't care. You just do what is right. Who cares? And then in honor and dishonor, you don't worry. So long as you don't go for honor and you don't worry about dishonor. Oh, if I do this, people talk bad about me. Forget it. Do the right thing. Whether it's people scold you or not, doesn't matter. Do the right thing. Who treats alike both friend and enemy. Meaning you understand that a friend is a friend, yes. Enemy is your enemy, but they are under the modes of material nature. So you understand, don't despise the enemy, just keep away from him, because the enemy can hurt you. So better just just keep away. In that way, you treat alike both friend and enemy. In the war, Mahabharat war, so then after the war, they will go to each other's camp. So in that way, even the enemy comes to your camp, you must treat him nicely. That was the culture at that time. Of course now you don't do it, but in that time it was the culture, because the enemy may just come and kill you. So how you know? But in those times it was honorable. After 6 o'clock, the war stopped. Nowadays there is no stopping. You go and see Israel and Iran and Hamas and the Palestinians. All they are fighting 24 hours. There is no timing. And who is renounced all material activities. That means not say don't do your duty. Do it, but not attached. Such a person to have transcend the modes of nature. So here we have all this. Actually, we have covered all this, so we can skip. Otherwise, we will not finish. Transcending the three modes. Okay, we just did this, right? All right. Okay, who would like to read this? 26, 27, and 28. Oh, finish already. 26 and 27. Who would like to read this? Last one.
Prabhu, I volunteer.
Anyone else want to start and want to do? Otherwise, Subhadra will do. Anyone else? No volunteers? Okay, Mataji, carry on.
Okay. Mam cha yo vyabhicharani bhakti yogena sevata nagunan sam yatan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Thank you, Prabhu.
27. 27.
Text 27.
Yeah.
And I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
So one who engages in full devotional service. So finally, Krishna is saying, transcend the three modes of material nature, right? And do full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstance. People tell you, I will give you $1 billion. You give up spiritual life. Don't take it. No use. The 1 billion is useless. You can't bring to your next life. And also you will lose the chance of going back to the spiritual world. When you go to the spiritual world, it's worth more than $1 billion. It's worth countless. No amount of money can actually send you there. Right? So at once transcend the modes of material nature and comes to the level of Brahman. Someone says, okay, you want something, you do this bad thing, you help me do this bad thing, I will give you a lot of money. Don't want. Someone says, you tell someone, okay, you send me money, I will buy for you and send to you. You take the money and don't buy for him. That's cheating. Don't do it. That's very, very bad. So then the last verse is, and I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal and imperishable and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. What is the meaning of impersonal Brahman? Brahman is transcendental realization. And then Paramatma is the super soul, right? And finally is Krishna. And from Krishna comes the effulgence. So all of these are within the Paramatma. Effulgence is part of Krishna. So Krishna says, I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman. The Paramatma and the effulgence Brahm is, I am the basis. And these things are immortal. It is always there. I am always there, of course. And these things are part of me, always there. And is the cult as the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. When you understand who the Lord is, who the Paramatma is, how the Paramatma is, and you are also a Jiva who is eternal. So you should get self-realization and you understand that you are the servant of the Lord and you get back to Godhead. So now I tell you this story. This is in Chaitanya Charamita. This is Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami is always chanting by the Yamuna river. He is in Vrindavan. In Vrindavan there is no Ganges, there's a Yamuna. And then Yamuna meets with the Ganges later on. And they flow down. So then you see there was one thief. He heard that this Sanatan, once he went to steal something. And then while he was stealing, then the fellow said, why are you stealing from me? He said, I need money. He said, why are you foolish? You steal from me, I got not much money. Then he said, then who I want to steal from? He said there's one Pandit, his name is Sanatan Goswami, he's always chanting, and he's got a one stone. The stone is Chintamani stone. And that's what's so special about the stone? Oh, you know, you take the Chintamani stone and you touch anything, it will all turn to gold. This is the ultimate story, ultimate. You don't need to steal anymore. You just get this one stone and you touch the rock become gold. You touch the wood become gold. You touch anything become gold. What is the problem? So then he was thinking, really, okay, can you tell me where he is? He said, there's a sadhu there. His name is Sanatan Goswami. You ask anything about Sanatan Goswami by the Yamuna is, people tell you where he is. And he's got one stone, the Chintamani stone. So you go and ask him for it. But why he will give me? He won't give me. Never mind, you go and try. Anyway, if he don't give you, you steal from him lah. You are a thief what? Oh, good idea. So then he went there. He went there and then he asked this man, Sanatan Goswami, he saw chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. So this man is actually he's got some culture lah. So he waiting for the Sanatan Goswami to stop chanting. He wait for a few hours, you know, he's sitting down, just waiting and hearing the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Then this Sanatan Goswami stopped for a while. He saw this man. He said, okay, sir, you are here to ask, you want something? Can I help you? He said, yeah. Do you have a Chintamani stone? He said, yes, I have. Can you give me the Chintamani stone? He said, it's by the garbage, near the garbage, there's one stone, you can take it. So he went and he took the stone. He said, what a stupid fool, this Sanatan Goswami. I didn't even have to steal from him. He just tell me where it is. At least he say, I don't have. I can squeeze his neck and ask him where it is, otherwise I'll kill you. But never mind, it's okay. He's giving. So he take and he running away. You know, a greedy person is always greedy. While he was walking away, he thinking, hey, wait a minute. Let's test this stone, whether it's true or not. So he tests on the rock, it became gold. He said, yeah, it's true, working. Then he think to himself, hey, wait a minute. He put this thing and he give me very fast. That means he must have something higher than that. I want that something. This Chintamani stone is not enough. He must have something more valuable. That's why he give me like this. Oh, I must go back. Then he went to the Sanatan. Sir, yes, can I help you? Are you happy with the Chintamani stone? Yes, I'm happy, but I am very surprised. Okay, what's your problem? He said. The problem is that you have something more valuable than this? Yes, I have. Okay, I want that. Then Sanatan Goswami said, okay, there's one thing you have to do to get that. He said, what? He said, you already have this Chintamani stone and you have made some gold out of something, right? You're holding it, I can see. You touched some rock and you make the gold. Yeah, you're very clever, huh, you? Yeah, so this one, you want that one, you have to do one thing. What? You throw this into the Yamuna, the Chintamani stone and the gold. So he throw into the Yamuna. And then I will show you something I have more valuable. So he said, okay. So he throw. Once you throw in the river, you cannot get back, right? Because you cannot where the stone going to come. So anyway, he said, come with me. Then he bring him to the deity. actually this story is not about a thief, it's about a Brahmana. Anyway, there's a variation. Okay, so this my variation is the thief, but this fellow's this variation here is Brahmana. So anyway, sometimes you'll have two versions. So anyway, he brought him to the deity, and then the the, the thief said, or the Brahmana said, so where's something more valuable? He said, the Lord is more valuable. Look at the Lord. And then the thief was thinking, why you say like this? That one make gold, this one I cannot use. He said, look at the Lord. You know, if you get the devotional service of the Lord, it is more valuable than the gold. Then somehow in the heart, because he was hearing Hare Krishna all the while for 4, 5, 6 hours before Sanatana Goswami talked to him, already he got some purity already. Then he asks, okay, how do I get the Lord? He said, you must chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So then this thief or Brahmana, whatever it is, whichever version you like, he started chanting and he became purified and he got bliss and he went back to God. So the story is, the goal is useless. This is more valuable, right? So if you want Bhagavatam, you can please order. And then Bhagavad Gita, you can please order. And so that's the end of today's class. So how was the class? Okay. Actually, the other classes, they are not fully reading all the Bhagavad Gita.
Interesting class.
So the other classes, they are not reading all the Bhagavad Gita. They are just following the slides. I am cheating a bit on your behalf. I'm reading all the verses. This one, all the verses, I think is level 3. I'm giving you in level 2. Some more. In level 3 also, you please join also because it's a revision and also it will be late level 3. It will also be a little more technical. Okay, so anyway, this is chapter 14. And then you see in chapter 17, you will see Krishna is asking about 3 kinds of religion. Mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Religion is religion talking, And then the 3 kinds of faith, that's religion. And then austerities, 3 kinds of austerities. And then 3 kinds of food. And then 3 kinds of sacrifice, 3 kinds of austerity, and 3 kinds of charity, and all done in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. And all this in chapter 17, before Krishna again speaks on this 17, before he comes to 18. 18 is a conclusion of the full Gita. Everything is in that. Krishna recaps everything and gives you some special messages in the end of chapter 18. I think you all went through 18, right? So anyway, so this is how the Gita works. So any question?
Prabhu, there is a level 3 Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, there is. But not
Level 3. How about the Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhu, the class?
Srimad Bhagavatam also, they are compiling give them time.
Oh, I see. When, Prabhu, this year or next year they're going to launch the Srimad Bhagavatam?
I'm not sure. This all, they are actually, you know why not? All these classes have been devised and improved on in Bangalore. The ISKCON Bangalore have done all this and then it has come here. And then now ISKCON London, UK is also asking for these classes because it's actually quite quite good. You know, I think you learn a lot, right, in Bhagavad Gita from
It's very comprehensive,
yeah, comprehensive.
to
So
the point.
yeah. Otherwise, you know, every time I go to Taipusam selling books, a lot of people come. Please buy Bhagavad Gita. I already buy last year. Have you read? Never read. Why? Don't know. Cannot understand. I read. I cannot understand. So at least come to the class, you understand. You know, and it's quite nice. It's the way they have done it is very systematic. The level 1 was overview. Level 2 is actually a bit deeper. Level 3 is more deeper, but I've given you full level 2. I've given you all because I feel you deserve it. You don't need to wait so long. So while level 3, they will also give you some technical things, a little more than just reading the whole Bhagavad Gita. So in this way, please, when the level 3 comes, please also enroll and give your time. And the Bhagavatam also, when it comes, if you are interested, you can also enroll. It's also nice, even though you don't have Bhagavatam, you can enroll. So, and also now there is batch 4. Registration have started. I'm going to give you the link. Can you all do me a favor? All of you send to your circle of friends who might be interested in doing batch 1. Okay, so we have actually batch 1, 2. You are part of 1 and 2. And then batch 3 is finished. I just finished also batch 3. And then batch 4, we are going to start in 26th of July. After batch 3 and 4 finish, then I will be doing level 2 for two of them. You understand? Got the idea? Okay. Anyway, then level 2. Then after level 2 finish and your level 2 finish, then we will have level 3. So it will take some time because otherwise not enough people also no use. At least there should be at least 15, 20, 20, 10 to 30 lah. That's ideal for a class people. Okay. I know you are very interested, but meanwhile, all of you read the Bhagavad Gita every day, either 2 verse or 4 verse. It will help you.
Prabhu, roughly,
Yeah.
3 roughly when, Prabhu, it's going to start? Because we're going to finish another 4 chapters. We'll finish levels of Bhagavad Gita.
Level what? Level 3.
Roughly when is level 3?
Another 4 months.
Level 3 of Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, it will be another 3-4 months.
Just roughly. Oh,
This year?
I see. Okay.
It
So it will be a weekly class as well?
Yeah, weekly also. There is one girl, I know, she started from Bangalore direct. Before even Malaysia started, she already had done level 1, 2 finished. Now she's going level 3. She's going to start level 3 there. So they are developing level 3 and they will use it, and after that they will pass it to us. You understand, huh? They are already starting. So like that. And then Bhagavatam also they are starting. Children's also they will start. So systematic. You know, the other religions are all very systematic. Our so we need to be more systematic. Okay, any other question?
No, none from me, Prabhu.
So what you understand from this chapter? Any comments? Anyway, you're going to put in the quiz, right? You're going to put your comments, okay? I won't ask you now. You can put your comments in the quiz, okay? Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. And then one more thing, you don't have to call me sir. You can call me Prabhu or Guruji, either one. Okay, no need to call sir. We are in a spiritual class, so either Prabhu or Guru. I prefer Prabhu, but otherwise, whatever you want.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nawa,
Namaskar, Prabhu.
See you next week.
Rati,
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Ambika, Kishan.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Bye, everyone. Good night.
Bye.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Good night.